All right. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to our April 2022 EHE Regional Learning Collaborative session on strategies to engage and serve youth. My name is Elena Rosenberg-Carlson, and I'm the EHE coordinator here at the UCLA Center for HIV Identification, Prevention, and Treatment Services, or CHIPS. For anyone who's new to the Learning Collaborative, our purpose is to facilitate knowledge sharing and support collaboration and collective action across California's 8 EHE Phase 1 counties to help accomplish our shared EHE goals. And we also welcome folks from outside these 8 counties to join the sessions and learn with us. So thank you all for joining this morning. In the chat function, you should see an option to send a message to all panelists and attendees or to everyone. I see some of you already using this option, which is great. Please do use this option now to introduce yourself to everyone on the call by sharing your name, your affiliation, and your location. Next slide, please. So in honor of National Youth HIV and AIDS Awareness Day, this month's session will feature 3 amazing presenters who will discuss their programs, strategies, and approaches for ensuring youth with or at high risk for HIV receive the support and services that they need to thrive. As always, please feel free to submit questions at any time during the session using the Q&A function on your Zoom control panel. We'll use the Q&A function to collect and respond to questions throughout the session and also during the live Q&A at the end. We'll also keep the chat function open throughout the session in case you'd like to share comments or resources with the group at any time. And I want to note that we are recording the session and we'll post the recording and slides on our EHE Regional Response webpage within the next week. So now I'm delighted to introduce our first speaker, Jacob Bradley Rowe, who is the Executive Director of Sunburst Projects. Thanks for joining us, Jacob.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm going to share my screen here with you. Well, as Elena said, my name is Jake Bradley Rowe, and I'm the Executive Director of Sunburst Projects. Today,
Jake, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. It looks like you're maybe in presenter mode. So if you want to swap displays or use slideshow. There we go. Perfect.
All right. A couple things that we're going to cover this morning. Who and what Sunburst Projects is, a little bit about our history, which is really key to how we got involved with serving youth in our community, our youth programs, and then really lessons learned, key takeaways that we have taken from our years of working with youth in our community. So who is Sunburst Projects? We're a 501c3. We're located in Sacramento, California. We serve the HIV communities of Sacramento, Placer, El Dorado, and Yolo counties. We've been a Ryan White Part A and B recipient since 1994. Our mission at Sunburst Projects is to serve the needs of the HIV/AIDS community through compassionate care and services. And our daily goal here is to empower women, men, youth, and families who are living with HIV. Who are we? We're 14 employees. We're made up of both licensed and non-licensed staff. We have lots of life experiences. We have both HIV positive and negative staff, and we're made up of just a great diverse group of people. Our clients are 488 individuals impacted by HIV. We always say impacted because we look at the whole family unit, not just the person who is diagnosed HIV positive, but the other members of their family. Our youngest is prenatally still in mommy's tummy. Our oldest is 88 years old, and the longest client we've served is 30 years. There we go. So a little history about Sunburst Projects. We started as a summer camp for kids battling cancer. Our founder was working in San Francisco and San Francisco General in the 80s and realized there wasn't really anyone focused on the pediatric community that was being impacted and affected by HIV. And so in 1988, she founded Camp Sunburst, which was the first therapeutic camp for kids living with HIV and AIDS, and has grown into what is now, I believe, 47 camps around the world that have used our model, and many of them are continuing today, including our Camp Sunburst. In 1990, we became a 501c3, and we opened our doors to clients to serve them in the capacity of case management and social services. In 1991, Sunburst Projects was the sponsor of the first National Children with HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. You'll see a picture here on this slide. This logo for the first Awareness Day was actually created by our founder's daughter. In 2008, we launched our Youth Transitions Program. I'll go into more detail about that later on in the presentation, what that program is. And in 2001, our mental health services transitioned to a full mental health clinic. Would provide quite an array of services around mental health, behavioral health. So our youth programs here at Sunburst Projects consist really of 4 areas: medical case management, mental health, social services that include Camp Sunburst and our quarterly social events for our youth, and then our youth transitions program. So more kind of the meat and potatoes around our medical case management. We provide a wraparound service, and it really starts with intensive case management. All of our youth are assigned to a case manager who attends all of their medical appointments with them. Most often we pick them up, their parents, we take them to their appointments, we advocate on their behalf, we help explain, often in layman's terms, the process or what's going on. We utilize this opportunity to create a friendship and a close bond. Often that'll include, maybe they go get a lunch afterwards that our agency will pay for, or we spend time with them. Often we've gone to parks, just try to really connect with the client, especially those that are a little younger in their adolescent years. We're trying to create a positive environment about the relationship that we feel is important as case managers and providers to our clients. We often will do text messages on a daily to remind our youth to take their medication. We know that as young kids, it's about establishing the patterns. And so many of our case managers utilize the text messages in more modern days to be able to get that process going. We really work with the parents also to make sure that they aren't just giving the medication, but that there's a routine around it, and we work through that. And often it's our case management team that helps build that process. All of our youth that we serve currently and mostly in the past come from families that have other folks who are also HIV positive. So it's not just a single youth in the home. And we really look at the whole family unit here at Sunburst Projects. We assign the whole family one case manager, and they are able to really look at that whole picture and identify how best to serve the family, but also how really to do that wraparound service to our youth by building positive reinforcement around your diagnosis, the importance of taking your medication, attending your appointments. And we do that also through our gift card incentive program. We started this a long time ago, and one of the things we do is work with our younger clients to figure out something they really want. We have quite a few clients who wanted to save for a down payment for their first car, or maybe it was their cell phone or a PlayStation. And so what we do with our program is, instead of giving them a gift card every time we see them, some of them will save for 7 to 8 years, and we hold on to that. We keep a tracking system in our CRM, and every time they make their medical appointment and they have no viral load or their viral load has gone down, we incentivize them by adding it to their bank. And we'll present a certificate that says, you've received $25 more towards your bank of gift cards. And it's really kind of a reinforcement. And, we're looking at a long-term goal of maintaining medication adherence or viral suppression. And so we have found that kind of large picture savings, where they can see the bank growing over time, working towards a larger prize, has really helped versus just the one-off gift card here and there. And that's something that we have had great success with. Here in Sacramento, I guess we might not be unique to everywhere, but a little bit that all of our youth are receiving medical care at UC Davis that we serve at our agency. And UC Davis has a dedicated team of 3 infectious disease doctors, a registered nurse, and a social worker. And they set a 4-hour period on Tuesdays to serve that particular clientele. From an agency standpoint, it's made it really easy for us to set aside that time every week to know that we most likely would have appointments related to our youth, and that we're there with them, that we have a very close working relationship with those 3 doctors, that our team of case managers or behavioral health therapists can interact, that the registered nurse there is part of our incentive gift card program. So being able to have that unique relationship has been extremely beneficial. I want to talk a little bit about our prenatally infected youth. We really have 2 kind of groups. We have our older teens who have been diagnosed not because of a family lineage of HIV, but because of one reason or another. And then the prenatally infected youth always come with a little bit different situation. One of the things we really work towards with them is getting the parents to disclose diagnosis. It is always a challenge that the parents will hold a sense of hurt, trauma, around the idea that they passed on their status to their child. We have had cases where we haven't been able to get parents to disclose their status to the children, that they didn't want the kids to know until they were 18. And we have seen that has been troublesome in the long run. Kind of a interesting story around this is we had a mother who did not want her son, who was HIV positive, born prenatally infected, to know his status until he was older. And at 13, she passed away from complications with HIV and AIDS. And we were left as an agency with a child who thought he was taking vitamins, who didn't know his diagnosis, to now help him through the process of understanding his mother's death, who he didn't know was HIV positive, his own diagnosis, helping secure him a place with elderly grandparents. And unfortunately, this sent him down a tough road, and he's now incarcerated. And it's unfortunate. We still are working with him, and we hope that through our programs here that we may be able to get him back online, and certainly taking his medication when he's out of incarceration and retaining himself in medical care. Our mental health program provides both individual and youth groups. We always try to take our clients who are under the age of 18 out of the office, out of the therapeutic setting that's traditional, and into the field. Especially during COVID, this worked really well, where our case managers would meet the client. They would go have lunch and go to a park, that they would meet at the house. Maybe it was on the front porch. The incentive that you get some special time to just focus on yourself. Maybe, it's the lunch and going and picking out your favorite item at Burger King. All of our clients, because we're a Ryan White provider, are living 500% below the poverty level. And often the little things like that make a big deal for them. And so we've traditionally always gone into the field with our clients to do mental health for our youth. We have our peer-to-peer groups. We feel that providing a strong leader that's lived similar situations for our younger youth has been very successful. We certainly feel that the peer-to-peer program helps kind of show that process of growing up, being HIV positive, the positive of taking your medication, staying in care, and we do a lot of that kind of liaison work and showing them through the peer-to-peer groups. The focus on understanding diagnosis is really important in our mental health work. For those youth whose parents have chose to tell them at an early age, we try to work through the process of initially the trauma around learning and work through that to get them into a spot where it's a positive, where they can turn that around and utilize it to educate others. And often that is, kind of through the peer groups, through our social groups, through Camp Sunburst. And then we do family counseling when appropriate. We have quite a few families here. We have a family of 6, and of the 6, 5 of them are HIV positive. So the parents and 3 of the kids. And we have done group counseling with that family. We had issues of medication adherence there. And so bringing them together, working on it as a whole, as a family unit, has provided often a positive out of that. Our social services that we are providing our youth. So Camp Sunburst, a free week-long therapeutic camp for youth age 6 to 17. All of our campers leave their home life and they get to go to camp and be a kid. Our medical team takes care of making sure they get their medication. We don't have as many fragile clients as we used to, but we're still able to kind of take away the idea that they are at home and the stresses of being at home and just be kids. Our therapists mingle and participate in all the activities, and they take that opportunity to work with clients. Most of them know the therapist and have relationships going into Camp Sunburst, but there's often opportunities when they're doing things like the ropes course, or learning to swim, or interacting with maybe clients they've never met through team activities, to bring that back to their diagnosis, to bring that back to the life lessons that they're working through related to their diagnosis in mental health or in their peer groups, and apply that to what they're doing. And then I think the biggest thing is that the campers often make lifelong friendships with other youth who are HIV positive, folks that they are able to not worry about them knowing their diagnosis, just be their friends. We have adults that are our clients who started out as campers and are now come back as counselors and are giving back in ways. And so often they say that opportunity of what they've been able to give back means so much to them, because they were there on the other side as youth, and now they're there as adults. And then we have our quarterly social gatherings where we do bingo and bowling and mini golf. We do holiday parties. We have a trick or treat here in our office every year where all of our case managers decorate their offices, and we provide a safe place for all of our youth to come on Halloween. Our Christmas parties are a big bash where our community has come together to do gifts and celebrate just a year of our clients being successful in their care. And most of the social parties are without parents, right? So kids are chaperoned by our staff, and they just get to be kids, right? Again, we're removing the stresses of home life, which so many of them have. Our youth transitions program. So here in Sacramento, all of our youth transition out of the pediatric program at UC Davis at the age of 21. And we discovered back when we started this program that what was happening is many of those youth would then transition to multiple other medical facilities where they would start receiving adult care, and often they were falling through the cracks. There was the stresses of establishing themselves with a new doctor at a new facility, new processes, and that we started immediately seeing there was increase in viral load, that they weren't meeting their medical appointments, and that they needed just a little bit more hand holding. And so our youth transitions program essentially helps the client establish themselves with their new medical provider at a new facility, get the process down, and then we slowly wean ourselves off of being there all the time, but provide that extra little support that they need to be able to be successful in their adult setting care. So lessons learned that we've really, over our 35 years, where we've really been focused on providing services to youth. In Sacramento, we have not had a prenatally infected child born in 16 years. The last one born is our client. And really that was about establishing relationships with all of our hospitals, with many of the major medical providers who are working with pregnant moms, and allowing us to get in there and work ahead of the birth to make sure that they're on medication, that they are virally suppressed, that they understand the importance of how to take care of their child once the baby's born, providing 2 years of surveillance to any baby that was born to a HIV positive mom. That's really been key for us in our community, and we continue that work today in stopping the spread of HIV through our prenatally infected youth. Getting our youth to understand their diagnosis. It's often working with the parents to explain that to them, and this is our younger youth, but making sure that they know what it means to be HIV positive, what that means for them, for their future. And often that's done through the mental health program. Providing our opportunity for the youth to interact with other HIV positive youth. We have seen so often that our younger kids want to disclose their status to someone else, and there's a lot of stresses around that for them. And so when they're able to interact with other kids that are the same and disclose to someone else who's HIV positive, it's a different outcome often. The stigma is removed. There's like feelings and emotions. And so that's been a big takeaway. Educating our parents, as I've said multiple times throughout here, why it's important that they let their child know that they're HIV positive if they were prenatally infected, having the parents share their diagnosis. Often parents don't want to. And then the age 18 is key, especially for those prenatally infected youth. We have seen historically that many of them around the age 18 become rebellious. They're tired of taking that pill every day. They don't want to Two, we see viral loads come up. Most recently, we worked with our first youth client to get them established on Cabenuva, the monthly injectable. It was the first 18-year-old that we know, UC Davis, that is on that. And he started that at 18 and has been very successful in that process, where he was at a point where he just basically said, I don't want to take this medication anymore. What does it matter? Why me? And finally, the wraparound approach, intensive medical case management, mental health, and then also providing social services like Camp Sunburst or our quarterly social events have really been our success in keeping our clients medically adherent, virally suppressed, medically adherent, and in medical care. Thank you guys so much.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jake. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. I already see a couple of good questions coming in and just want to remind everyone on the line to please feel free to submit questions at any time to the Q&A box on your Zoom control panel. And we'll work on answering some of those questions directly in the Q&A box, and we'll also save some for the live Q&A at the end. Our next speaker this morning is Ashia Coleman, Youth Development Specialist at 3rd Street Youth Center and Clinic. Welcome, Ashia.
Good morning, everyone. Let me just share my screen. Welcome, good morning. My name is Ashia Coleman. I am the Youth Development Specialist at 3rd Street Youth Center and Clinic. And I'll go over what we do at 3rd Street. So we're some of our history. So our mission statement, so we help youth between 12 to 24 in the Bayview Hunters Point district in San Francisco. But we also serve San Francisco as a whole. So we were founded as a community effort. One of the things that we lacked in a low representative community in San Francisco, this was made amongst community members and youth in the community. We started off as a small, just providing a few clinic services and also a few youth development programming in order to ensure our youth are getting the opportunities for healthcare, employment, and education. So that is basically how we started in 2005. And then we most definitely want to make sure that we are helping our youth improve their physical, emotional, and social health to be successful as adults. So that is just something for our background of how we got started. We've been around for 15 years. And counting. So some of our services and programs that we provide at 3rd Street. So one of our programs is our youth development program. So we serve 12 to 16 years old. This is actually the program that I do. I am actually not, just to clarify, I am not a clinic staff, but I am one of the longest employees at 3rd Street currently. So this is one of the programs that I actually host, just dipping in a lot of services around 3rd Street. So we help just, we help youth just go out in the community, be themselves. We teach them about financial literacy, mental health. We go over sexual health and reproduction prevention. We talk about HIV. We talk about STDs. We have activities. This is one of the activities that we did maybe 2 years ago. So just before the pandemic. So just basically building up our youth for professional development and teaching them about things that they normally don't get taught in school. So and all of our youth development programs are paid. Okay. Then we also have a summer program. So it's the same population. Sometimes we do 12 to 17-year-olds, but this is more focused on building them up to the pitch of like what do you want to be when you grow up? So exploring more of like their career interests and interviewing your professional development. So this is an 8-week program that we host, pairing them up with somebody from the community. If they want to be a nurse, so we'll pair them up with a nurse to see what their day-to-day life is. What else? If they have any advice, their pathways, just get some insight on like the lifestyle of being like a nurse. So we also host this for our youth in the community. And then we also have our leadership program. This is for our 13 to 17-year-olds. So we help our youth learn more about San Francisco politics and power mapping, 311 reporting. So more of like advocating for themselves as youth, a political engagement, giving them the space to be able to advocate for themselves and seeing how we can better our neighborhood and our environment starting with them. So just benefiting them. And then they also do a project. So working with other community members and CBOs and things like that to make sure that they, that's pretty much it. Okay. And then we have our health core program. So this is for 17, like you're graduating from high school, or you already graduated, and then up to 24 years old. So this is the health career pathway. If you're not sure if you want to go to college, you want to stay locally, but you're interested in something of the healthcare field, medical assistant, pharmacist. So you actually do workshops with us, and then you get paid for your time building up your professionalism. And then at the end of the workshops, you get paired with an organization like San Francisco General and do an internship there. They learn mental health certified, CPR training. And this is one before the pandemic. They have their smocks on and they're at a believe general stimulation, San Francisco General Stimulation, when they visit there. And then we also have our Third Street Eats program. So we give out weekly produce for our community. So those are the things that we provide. So if anything of the populations 12 to 24, our youth and their families need weekly produce, you are free to get this service on a weekly basis. We also have a housing department. So any youth from 18 and up, 24, that is experiencing any homeless insecurities, instability, if you're eligible, you will be teamed with the case manager and see what we can do to provide healthy, safe services around getting you maybe a shelter or providing some barrier removal solutions, just making sure that you have somewhere to go for the night. So that's also one of the things that we also provide. And we also have a park RX, so getting the youth to be able to go outside, get healthy, stay active. So we also have that part, just making sure that they know Park RX. So going to local parks in their neighborhood. We actually our longtime Martin Luther King Park in San Francisco in the Bayview, we're actually right next across the street from there, just got remodeled. So that is a good thing that we'll be able to have a more safer place for our youth to go and hang out and to go to. So that's also one of the things that we provide. And then we also provide mental health services, individual therapy. We are actually still virtually as of right now with our social workers, our family therapists. So we're actually still expanding with our mental health services, but we do take referrals for youth from 12 to 24 who are in need of mental health services. And then last but not least, we have clinic. So this has been around since we started also. So 12 to 24 on any reproductive services, pregnancy testing, STD, birth control, and then rapid HIV testing and counseling, free condoms, of course. So we are a partner with Chippy, and we are fairly small. So we see maybe a certain amount each week. And then we provide these services. They are free services for anybody that's qualified. We also do take like insurance, but anything between 12 to 24, we do provide any free services. So some of the HIV prevention that we currently, as our clinic side of Third Street, we do not have any positive cases of HIV. Along our patient population, Third Street has one patient on PrEP, and that is what we are doing right now. So PrEP is the medicine, as everybody should know. People are at risk for HIV to take prevention getting HIV from sex or injection use. And then Third Street clinic team is currently dealing with high rates of syphilis instead of HIV as of right now. In the Bayview district, so syphilis has been on a rise in our community for recent months. Education has been taking precedence over the HIV STD in the area. We recommend getting HIV and syphilis testing once a year if patient has not been exposed. That was a typo. And then we do recommend frequently testing in general. And I believe I do have a video if I can show it.
PrEP, or pre-exposure prophylaxis, is a medicine that can prevent HIV. PrEP is for people who are HIV negative and at risk of getting HIV. This includes people who have a sex partner with HIV, people who don't always use condoms, or people who have been diagnosed with an STD in the past 6 months. PrEP is also for people who are HIV negative and sharing needles or other drug injection equipment, or have a drug injecting partner with HIV. PrEP is highly effective for preventing HIV through sex or injection drug use. PrEP does not protect against other sexually transmitted diseases. Only condoms can protect against STDs such as syphilis or gonorrhea. Visit your healthcare provider to see if PrEP is right for you. If you decide to take PrEP, you'll need to take it every day, or it's prescribed by your healthcare provider. For more information about PrEP, visit cdc.gov.
And then this is also our contact and where we are located. So Third Street Youth Center Clinic, we are located at 1728 Bancroft Ave. And this is our number if you want to contact us. It's the front desk. So if you have any patients that you want to refer, any follow-up questions, this is the front desk that you'll get the clinic first. And then we're open Monday through Friday from 1 to 5 p.m. Our website has all our information and who you need to contact also. And then this is also my contact. As of right now, we are expanding and transitioning with employees. So if you do have, if you don't get anybody, you can all feel free to email me and I can most definitely direct you to somebody who you need to talk to. But that is all for me.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Ashia. It's really great to see you tackling so many of the, psychosocial and structural conditions that we know intersect with HIV and in many ways drive the HIV epidemic among youth. And I also just wanted to note, the really important focus on syphilis. We know here in the HIV space that a lot of studies have shown, 2 to even 5-fold increases in the risk of acquiring HIV among folks who have syphilis. And also that syphilis can increase viral load of folks who currently have HIV. So I just wanted to thank you for sharing your focus on that with us as well. And thanks for your great presentation, Ashia.
Thank you.
So now I'm excited to introduce our third and final speaker this morning, Miguel Bujanda, Executive Director for Reach LA. Good morning, Miguel.
Good morning. How are we doing all? I'll be sharing my screen in a moment. Give me a second. All right. Can everybody see my screen? All right.
Looks great.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm here in Chicago for the HIV Biomedical Conference. I am in my hotel room at the moment, so apologies for the background, but it's the way it is. My name is Miguel Bujanda. I currently serve as the Executive Director of Reach LA since 2017. I'm going to be showing you a couple of clips and videos as it will be a better way for me to illustrate all the amazing work that we do at the organization. I'm going to start with the first one. The first video is going to give you a little bit of a background of who we are. Please apologize for the connection, but these videos are available on our Instagram. If you want to check out our Instagram, it's at the Reach LA. You can follow us there. That'll be greatly appreciated. So check it out, and we'll have a little conversation about what we are as an organization.
In 1992, 4 local community artists sought to create a space for young people to escape gang violence in Los Angeles County. Throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, Reach LA focused on collaborating with its demographic, mainly Black and Latinx social media influencers, to produce media and art. Today, Reach LA is culturally responsive and continues to use the arts and the dance scene with the house and ball community and the Latino party crews to reach its priority populations. Our truly diverse staff creates community engagement programs so that Reach LA can continue to create safe spaces for queer youth of color. We do this by addressing the stigma around sex, queer identity, and gender expression while celebrating creative, social, and medical well-being. This includes increasing access to PrEP services using innovative telehealth programs and rapid linkage to ART. To address the stigma around PrEP and condom usage, Reach LA produced music video parodies, dance videos, scripted videos, and posts consisting of a culturally diverse cast normalizing consensual activity and PrEP among persons who are at risk, and promoting the ART adherence of people living with HIV.
As you can see, Reach LA, founded in 1992. It was really created for an organization that utilized arts programming to, one, making sure that young people were able to have an outlet to express themselves, especially in the 90s. As many of you know, in Los Angeles, we had the LA riots, and the 4 women artists tried to create a space for young people to come together and do that. And in 2005, we were funded by the County of Los Angeles to provide a safe space for young MSM of color, primarily Black and Latinx individuals, and we primarily worked with the house community and the Latino party crews in the east side of Los Angeles. Now, one of the praises that we get as an organization is that we are not a clinic. So more importantly, we're more of a community center that personalized programs that cater to the communities that we were serving. And this was when we decided to explore new options and expand our reach, no pun intended. And it was really to better serve our community. And we expanded it, not just providing wellness, but other areas that were importantly and needed for the community. As a community-based organization, we expanded into arts, and we actually opened the Reach LA Dance Studios, which house a lot of the house and ball community programs that you currently have today. With that, and I have had the honor of serving as the executive director since 2017. And not only am I part of the community that we serve, I grew up with these services with other community-based organizations in the City of Angels. So but times are changing, and we realized that we had to keep up with the expanding services, especially PrEP. And since we were not a clinic, we understood that it was really important for us to really keep up with the game of providing care services, even though we had no clinic at our immediate access. Only through partnerships and collaborations were we able to do this. So we had to figure out a way to actually integrate the services at the same time of providing the services to the community. Now, the mission of the organization is to engage and empower young LGBTQ people of color and their communities. So we provided a safe space for young people ages 13 to 35 and empower them with skills and tools to develop and operate innovative programming that was made by them for them, right? So it was really important for me as an executive director to say, hey, maybe I'm a little older. I was 19 when I started the services, but I'm older now. And I had to realize that, some of the things that I consider hip and cool now probably are not what my young people are actually expressing and doing, right? So we really try to lead. We wanted to improve social health and economic wellness in our program, so we developed an expansive pillars of Reach LA, and that was health and wellness, creative arts, personal development, and social enterprise. And all our programs are really interconnected, so a young person, especially young artists that may have no regular access to medical care services, was actually having those accesses within their reach. The 4 pillars address the social determinants of health on individual to ensure the continuous growth of the valued client. They included factors like social economic status, education, physical environment, employment, and even social support services, as well as access to healthcare, which is really important to me personally. As growing up as an immigrant from an immigrant family, healthcare was a big deal for my family, and I really wanted to make sure it was accessible. And the team that I've been able to work with has been really share the same vision as I have when it comes to making sure that we receive medical services for our young people. So we designed our interconnected programming to be comprehensively address the different areas of a young person's life while adapting to their strengths and, of course, their needs. Now, as you can see here, we have a lot of multitude programs, which I'm going to go over in a few moments. As you can see, all our programs are interconnected from health services to creative arts, personal development, and social enterprise, allowing a person to create stronger social networks, potentially get screened for STIs and HIV, even have access to rapid ART or even teleprep. And we did this by providing our wellness program, which allowed individuals to not only seek HIV testing, which was incentivized, but also utilizing our very convenient telehealth PrEP services to get people to get on PrEP for free of charge. Even getting them access to free medical insurance so they could go ahead and get not only PrEP, but other medical needs served. Also, those who are HIV positive were able to link them into the programming that was available through our Y&Y partnerships. Of course, we also did open and expand our services to provide truly free mental health with no hassle insurances, where we gave young people 5 to 10 sessions with an actual therapist to meet with on a weekly basis to address any immediate needs. Our waiting list has grown. Our department has tripled in size in the last year and a half, especially during COVID. So very happy to say that we're trying to be as adaptive, and the need is definitely is really catching up to us creating these services. In addition to that, our Reach LA studio, we host a variety of programming, especially to create a local community artist. From performing arts to visual artists, the creative arts helps clients improve cognitive function and problem-solving abilities, assist in stress relief and emotional well-being. Also, developing of the personal expression and the self-awareness of psychological resilience and the capacity to recall information and memory processing. So it's a lot, and honestly, it's a lot of fun. I see these young people on a Wednesday night when our full dance classes, our Vogue classes, and they're voguing down. I cannot do anything that they do. I'm very, very admirable of them. But more importantly, I'm very happy that they're able to come on a weekly basis to come to our variety of dance classes, from Old Way to Runway to Vogue classes. We offer free classes 3 times a week right now to the variety of programming and community. And we host the largest ball on the West Coast. As you know, the house and ball community is very popular on the East Coast, especially New York, and made more popular through mainstream media like Pose and the show Legendary. And it's become more popular to the point where our last Oveness took place back in December, and we had almost 700 attendees at the Legendary Globe Theater in downtown Los Angeles. So it was amazing. Yet the need for events right now, especially post-COVID, at this point in COVID, I should say, is really important for us to really try to create those safe spaces for our young people. Even so that young people have actually asked us also to have weekly discussion groups to come together as community, from our mix-up discussion group for a mix of queer men of color, Petals for our sapphic and lesbian community, and the Shop Talk for a young Black gay men's group that we have weekly at Reach LA. In addition, one of our pride and joys is our gamer night. Gamer Night is a community-led program where they wanted to come just hang out. It's like a drop-in center. And in addition to our busy dance classes down the hall at our wellness center, and now our den, which we just opened up, we actually now have a very large space for young people to come and just play video games, board games, and just hang out and have a great little pizza party every Wednesday night. And that allowed us to go ahead and utilize these events to get them into testing for HIV, linking them to PrEP services. If they were positive, re-engaging them and finding out if they're still in care and how adherent they are to the medication. We created a trust, a rapport with the clients that are come in, and making sure that my staff was able to connect with them on a regular basis, so we could become a ongoing resource to them, and almost became somewhat of a friend or a mentor, if that capacity allowed. We have an adulting workshop series funded by the state, our state grant, and it really allows us to do just whatever the young people want to do. One of the last programs we did was called it's Unfuck Your Finances. And the idea behind that was to really look at how to manage your finances, do taxes and so forth like that, because young people don't know how to do this. We don't get taught this in high school, right? I was out of high school over 25 years ago, and they still don't teach how to do taxes. So they really wanted to learn what these type of services for our young people. So some of the successes we've had in the last couple of years, in addition to just a variety of program, is that we started developing a partnership with Chickatelli Associates CAI in New York City. And we wanted to fully implement and integrate trauma-informed care into our services, because we realized during the COVID-19 pandemic that, a lot of the young people that came to our organization were feeling it. They're really feeling it. But as an executive director, it was really important for me to pay attention to my staff, because they came directly from the community that we're serving. They themselves were also being impacted with the same anxiety, depression, loneliness that our clients were feeling. So it was really important for us to, as an organization, to say, hey, what do we do about this? How do we serve our young staff, and making sure that they're being taken care of, so then they could take care of the community that we're serving, right? So utilizing a trauma-informed approach was really vital. And so we're currently in the process of fully integrating this by having a really heart-to-heart neat assessment of the organization, and find out what the staff needed in regards to just feeling safe at work. Not just because of COVID, but what if past traumas, discrimination, homophobia, transphobia that my staff has faced, even myself has faced, and how do we carry that into the workplace? And as a leader, and trying to be the best leader as possible, is really to listen to what the needs of the staff were. And yes, I am put in the position to make a lot of decisions, but having more of an inclusive leadership style has been very helpful, especially in an organization that truly wants to be trauma-informed. Paying attention to what the staff need will ultimately give you what the community needs as well. Now, with that said, talking about community needs, one of the things is we wanted to expand the messaging of the different programs that we have. So what we did was in response to the into the post George Floyd trial, and some of the uprising things that were going on in the city, my staff really wanted to do something more inclusive when it comes to all Black Lives Matter, and making sure that we recognize a lot of the Black trans women that are being murdered during this time when Black Lives Matter movement was happening. So we really wanted to focus on that. So they wanted T-shirts that really represented that, and on the other side was trying to have fun with what was going on and talking about increasing access to PrEP services. Reach LA was pleased to launch the WAP campaign. If everybody knows what the WAP campaign, what WAP is, then that's featuring Megan Thee Stallion by Cardi B. The organization presented its own acronym called Marketing Wellness, Access, and Prevention. And this marketing campaign utilized hired photographers and photo shoots and from community to come together and do this. And we actually employed the two of the members from the House of Balmain, the winners of a season 1 Legendary, as influencers to the organization to help us develop this video, but more importantly, to give the context of what WAP was, right? Wellness Access Prevention, not the WAP that Cardi talks about, but the WAP that Reach LA talks about, right? But with that said, I'm gonna actually show you a snippet of the video. You could find this again on our Reels tab in our Instagram. So please, again, follow our Instagram at Reach LA. Give me a moment. I'm gonna pull this up and see if it works for me. And so check it out. And
in 2021, Reach LA launched the WAP campaign, Wellness Access Prevention, a spinoff of Cardi B's chart-topping single WAP featuring Megan Thee Stallion. This feature video was done in collaboration with HBO Max's legendary Season 1 winners, the House of Balmain. The video reached over 10,000 viewers across multiple platforms and resulted in over 500 PrEP signups for Reach LA's telehealth PrEP program. Check it out.
There's some hoes in this house. 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 There's some
yeah, you dealing with some wet and gushy. Bring a bucket and a mop with this wet and gushy. Give me everything you got with this wet and gushy. Beat it up, baby, catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this cookie right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top, I wanna ride. I do a giggle, I'm kinda wild. Look at my mouth, look at my thighs. Sweater is wet, come take a dive. Tie me up like I'm surprised. That's role play, I wear disguise. I want you to park that Big Mac truck right in this little garage. Get your boots, hang your coat for this wet and gushy. He bought a phone just for pictures of this wet and gushy. Pay my tuition just to kiss me on this wet and gushy. Now make it rain if you wanna see some wet and gushy. Look, I need a hard hit, I need a deep, I need a Henny drink, I need a smoke, not a garden snake. I need a king cobra with a hook in it. Hope it lean over. He got some money, then that's where I'm headed. Cookie ain't one, just like his credit. He got a beard, well I'm tryna wet it. I am, now he diabetic. I don't wanna, I wanna, I want you to touch that. That swing in the back of my talking misfire. The sun is going and trying.
all right, that's enough, y'all. That's enough. If you want to watch the full video, you again, please follow our Instagram. You can see a lot of the amazing content that a lot of these young people love creating at the organization to one, maximize their talent as community artists, but secondly, to really expand the message of what HIV prevention's messaging are. And some of the lessons that I've learned in doing this, y'all, has been just really making sure that the staff that we've hired at Reach LA was truly diverse, that they truly represented the staff that the community that we're serving. You know, I am a 40-some-year-old Latino, gay Latino, immigrant parents, but that was just one perspective, right? So I had to hire staff that really had different perspectives that really kept me as an executive director on my toes. Doing a community needs assessment, but having a strong CAB and an ad hoc subcommittees that really focus on the needs of these different programs, but overall the organization. And having a trauma-informed approach has been extremely helpful because it shows the staff that you're willing to listen to some of the traumas that they may have experienced, especially during this time, during COVID-19, which was not easy. Practical incentives. Incentives are important for us to have, but they're more importantly to making sure that the clients that are receiving these incentives are actually the ones that they want, not because it makes it easy for us in org. Incentivizing proper services, getting them to participate in our pillars like personal development or social enterprise by utilizing social networks recruiting and incentivizing that program to be very helpful. Another thing is, if you're a leader on this call, I strongly urge you, listen to your staff. Your staff have a lot of great ideas. And I know that a lot of us are stuck with the red tape of our boards of directors, our internal review boards and all that. I get that. But ultimately, we're going to better serve the community is when we listen to them and we bend our conservative views of what companies are supposed to do, because ultimately we're not dealing with conservative clients. We're dealing with progressive clients that engage in activities that are, one, are not conservative, and two, that are truly at risk. And it's important that your staff cannot do the work if there's constant red tape and barriers, and we don't take the daring risk, which is the next one, is be daring. Try to do risky activities, because ultimately, that's why I think the organization Reach LA is successful, is because these young people have been able to give free rein on a lot of things. Sure, some things are a little bit too much. Sure, some things kind of cross the line. But what is not crossing the line is the activities that our clients go through on a day-to-day basis. We need to meet them where they're truly at, and that's being as open-minded as possible. And that includes, finally, talking about being culturally proficient, not competent, proficient, making sure that the language that's used in the organization is the same language that clients speak, being sex positive, but truly sex positive, because it's very possible to be very sex negative, especially in our work, and awareness as leaders, as organizations, to be truly understanding of what the clients are going through and what are the movements or even the trends going on. I'm very, very lucky to have a strong team that really pays attention to the trends. And believe me, they teach me so much, from making sure that I'm not overdressed to work because that intimidates young people, making sure that I use correct terms to kind of talk to a young client that may be walking through the hallway while walking from one office to another. Even myself, jumping into doing HIV testing to support, making sure I'm being very celebratory of sex and their sexuality versus, hey, well, you use a condom and stuff like that. That's very antiquated, and education needs to evolve to meet the true needs of what the clients are going through. And with that said, I want to thank you all for taking some time to chat with me and talk a little bit about what Reach LA is about. But really, more importantly, I want to make sure that you all know that it's never too late to adapt your services. It's never too late to listen to your staff, listen to your community, but it is too late if you don't do anything about it. So thank you very much for this. I appreciate being here. And if you have any questions, please check out, you can email me directly at miguel@reachla.org, or you could check out our Instagram, follow us, and share the messages, as we like to, my team love to show their stuff off. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your amazing presentation, Miguel. You can probably see in the chat so much love for the video you shared.
I'm trying. I'm trying to look at the chat now.
I think folks are responding very positively. Amazing work, and thank you for sharing. So now we're going to move into our panel discussion and Q&A. I'm going to invite our speakers to all turn back on their videos for this last portion of our session. And if you have questions but haven't had a chance to submit them yet, feel free to continue submitting them in the Q&A box. We'll get to as many as we can during our session today, and then we can follow up with any we're not able to get to after the session. I'm going to start with a few topics that were really kind of commonly asked about during registration, and then we'll move into the open Q&A. So several participants wanted to know, what are the biggest barriers you face to engaging youth, and how have you worked to overcome those barriers? Jake, could you get us started on that question? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. Well, I think education is number one. Knowledge of their diagnosis, what it means. We've seen so often that our youth understand their diagnosis as a youth, but don't realize that it's a lifelong process that they're going to go through to understand that it's going to evolve from their pediatric care to their adult care. So constantly educating the changes, as new technology emerges and new antiretrovirals and the process of now having injectables, we, I think, take for granted that so much of our youth will just know that that's happening, right? Because they're in the community and it's not a reality. So, getting our first client established on Cabenuva as an injectable was a huge feat for us as an agency. And now we're seeing that client is talking to other clients of his same age group about it. And they're now asking us questions. So the fact that we went to him first and kept educating and trying to find different ways to serve. So continuing to educate the clients, I think, is so important.
Thank you, Jake. Miguel, do you want to chime in on that as well? What are some barriers you've faced to engaging youth, and how have you worked to overcome those barriers?
I think honestly, just building the trust with the clients. I think, in 2017, when I started as executive director, we only had 4 staff, and and honestly, as much as we try to really build a bridge between Black and Brown folk in Los Angeles, we understand that there's barriers between just race relations in the city in general, right? With Black people being only 8% of the population in Los Angeles, here is a Latino running organization that really is trying to merge. How do they trust me? How do they trust the organization? And that's really by diversifying your staff and being able to make sure that they could see people that represent them at the organization, having people at the front desk, having people lead the conversations, that people that look like them. And honestly, stepping back as a leader, being able to step back and say, all right, I'm gonna trust you, go for it. Then give that feedback and test things out, taking those risks. So addressing some of the barriers has been just taking some risks and be daring, and more importantly, just listening to what the community needs and be okay, be humble enough to say, you know what, this didn't work, and just move forward and try something different. I think we have very limited resources. I think all of you could agree to this. So the thing is that how is it that we're going to maximize this, but at the same time, be successful with it?
Thanks, Miguel. Ashia, can you hear me? I know you might be having a few technical issues, but I want to make sure you have a chance to chime in. Okay, so I think we'll go on to the next question, but Ashia, feel free to interrupt me if you want to chime in. I know we're all subject to technical issues on Zoom. The next question that came up really frequently during registration was, once you've engaged youth, how do you keep them engaged? How do you keep them involved in your programming and services? So Miguel, maybe starting with you, what strategies have you found to be most successful for keeping youth engaged?
Yeah, so I get I've heard this a lot lately, is a lot of the community members look up to a lot of the staff that have been hired and seen their journey, their growth. And even to the point where like they're intimidated, like, I want to do what you do. I want to take your role eventually when you leave, because they look up to them in their own personal journey. Because as an organization, about 95% of their staff are artists. So a lot of them have personal projects on the side. And one of the things we do is they collaborate a lot with the artists. So we give them opportunities. We hired a lot of them as consultants to help out with the outreach, with the recruitment of participants, and even some of the programmatics. As you saw, I only showed you one of our videos, and we do a lot of videos, and everyone wants to be in the video. So they all want to get hired and audition. So we get them engaged by giving them opportunities to really participate in the programming, but ultimately also they're 5 minutes of fame, right? And I think it gives them an opportunity to do that. So I think opportunities to our clients and outside of the services has been outside. I think we get so stuck on focusing, how do I serve them? How do I serve them? But what is outside of that? And thinking outside that box.
Thanks, Miguel. Jake, how about for you?
I think it's keeping it fresh, right? Keeping new opportunities there. So with our quarterly events, we're always changing it up. Our case managers were really hard to engage the folks who maybe weren't at the last two and try to keep those groups changing. For us, because we are a tight-knit group of folks that we're serving, and that so often our clients who are now our adult clients were our clients for 20 years before they got into adult care, right? Or 21 years. they really connect to us. It's often they just show up here at Sunburst Projects, right? This is a family environment. We always say, welcome to our family. So it's a warm, inviting location that they can come, they can hang, they can interact. They look up, as Miguel was saying, to our staff. Many of our staff HIV positive themselves, sharing their experiences. So, but keeping things fresh and different, trying different opportunities and different events.
Great, thank you, Jake. Ashia, we're kind of talking a little bit about once you've engaged youth in your programming, how do you keep them engaged and involved in your programming? Do you have any advice or strategies that have worked well for you?
Yeah, it's been most definitely hard with the pandemic. So we fully transitioned, of course, like everybody else, to virtually. So we are actually right now transitioning back into person. So some of the things that we worked with, that especially in the Bayview community, as a incentive is like payment, if the organization has a capacity. So like I said, all of our programming is paid or some type of incentive. So that always get youth in like in there. They learn how to build themselves up as a youth, learning themselves, and then also get a little bit of money on the side. So that's also a good thing. And then just keep on following up with them. I think that's also one of the things that even after they're done with our program, just checking in to see if they do need any other resources, because they may not know that they can probably still access our resources after they leave our program. So just checking up on them and just seeing if they need anything. That's always been a good thing. And we are actually expanding too. I think one of the things that we didn't put on the presentation is like our college readiness program. So just trying to touch all the basics that our youth need in San Francisco and in the Bayview community. So just making sure that their needs are being met at the end of the day, even if it's just like, I need to get on the bus to go to school, so we'll provide a clipper card. So payment and just some barrier removal assistance. Well, that's all we like make sure that we provide to make sure that we are providing that for our youth.
Thank you so much. Several of you mentioned the importance of follow-ups either during your presentation or here. And I'm wondering, do you mostly use, some of you mentioned text follow-ups. Have you found texting or other kind of modes of communication to be especially successful these days with youth?
Yeah, I mean, we used a lot of texting. Obviously, with the new HIPAA law changes, this is creating its own problems for us. But certainly for like medication adherence, we had a family of 4 who were all with a fairly high viral load, and 3 of the 3 kids, daily text messages actually was a good reinforcement and a reminder. It took about 6 months. Our case managers were very dedicated, 7 days a week, sending that 6 p.m. text message. And the great thing is it becomes like a game. The kid would send back the picture of the pill on their tongue or opening their bottle. They're just a positive reinforcement there. So that's how we've used it. They all are virally suppressed now, undetectable. And our case managers send that every few days. Hey, you're still taking your medication. So it's a dedication from your staff, certainly. But we've seen great results from it. So we're going to continue to work that process as best as we can by text message.
Yeah, I'm going to co-sign on that. I think the staff dedication. I think, I mean, who likes spam calls or spam text messages? No one. So it's really having that personal connection with staff and with clients will be really important. Staff are assigned clients, kind of like case managers, but we get an influx of staff that come in. So through our telehealth, we do a lot of emails, but like I always say, that personal touch is going to go a long way. So let them know. I think it's training the staff and supporting the staff and giving them the time to do it by having quality conversations or connections with their patients to follow up with them and do the check-in, like, hey, how's it going? How's everything going? It comes off better than, hey, this is Miguel from Reach LA versus, hey, this is Reach LA. Did you take your pill today? It's a little different. And I think having that personal touch is very important for us.
Thanks, Miguel. Yeah, so it seems like, there's the piece of course, finding the communication format and channel to use, but also the touch that you're using. I love how you have emphasized so much, Miguel, the personal touch being so important with engaging youth. Ashia, how about for you? What kind of communication channels and formats have been most successful?
Yeah, so from my understanding for the clinic side, I don't think we're that tech savvy yet with our phone. So we are like telehealth, we don't have that. So just our medical assistant and our front desk person work on our clinic side, just follows up with the youth. And that's pretty much it, just warm handoff. So if we can't provide any further resources or services, we do warm handoffs. But pretty much we just follow up with the youth with a phone number and like give them a call.
Thank you. So I think all of you in different ways work to nurture youth leadership. And one of the other key topics that came up during registration was, how do you actually kind of identify and work to nurture new youth leaders? So I'd love to start with you on that, Miguel. Any thoughts? What's your approach? What are your strategies for identifying and nurturing new youth leaders?
So very proud to say that a lot of my leadership is fairly new. A lot of them came in as either one came in as my admin assistant, another came in as my just a community health specialist, and you could tell that they're going above and beyond for their clients. They're going above and beyond, and I think one of my things is, as leaders, pay attention. Listen, see what they're good at and what they really enjoy doing. And if you keep on nurturing what they enjoy, they're going to go ahead and trust you enough to want to follow you. And I think, I think I have a really good relationship with this new leadership team. But there's a lot to learn, even for myself as a leader, is like, how do I work with them? How do I increase their capacity? So being able to know your limits as a leader to see what you can do to teach them, but more importantly, find out the resources for them to expand their leadership roles. So to start to identify is to really listen to what they enjoy to do, what they're good at. I had a really good admin assistant, which became my executive assistant, but I realized he was much better at communications, and he is thriving because he really wanted to do that. And he's amazing. He will be the one to, he's the one in charge of now all the media stuff, including the WAP campaign and distributing. So you'll see a lot of the communication come from him because of this.
Thanks, Miguel. How about for you, Jake? What are your strategies for identifying, potential youth leaders and nurturing that leadership in your organization?
Yeah, I mean, knowing that so many of our clients have been with us since they were so young, seeing their ability to connect and interact, kind of those natural leaders rise out. So for instance, our peer-to-peer groups, there's just kind of a natural process that happens, and you'll see that some folks take the back seat and some folks take the stage, right? We have one of our case managers here is a pretty well-known drag queen in Sacramento, and we've utilized that as a kind of a forefront in some of our peer-to-peer programs. And naturally, those leaders just kind of go to that person, right? And we utilize that opportunity. There are going to be clients that you have that in their medication taking and they're staying in care are going to take a back seat, and those are obviously harder to serve clients. Then you're going to have those that get it, they understand, they want to be part of the process, they're the easy ones. So for those harder to serve ones, it's just, again, providing more of that wraparound approach that needs, constant reinforcement. Those are the ones that certainly we find you're going to spend a lot more time with. So just kind of the natural process for us, I think, is what we see and where we go with that as far as the leaders.
Great, thank you, Jake. Ashia, did you want to comment on that as well? What does your organization do to kind of nurture youth leadership?
Yeah, same as Miguel and Jake. It just depends on the department. So for clinic, just following up with the youth, making sure whoever access our clinic services, they know the resources that's there. We post flyers all through our clinic. Just if they have certain questions to refer out. For youth development, the department that I am, we just try to make sure we pinpoint the ones that do need the extra help, and also the ones that do take the initiative and the leadership. We one of the things we like to do is make them interns. So just put them in an intern position, train them up a little bit. And then they have this type of authority in the way of they're gaining, learning about themselves. Okay, I did our youth development. Okay, I'm 19 now, but I want a real job. If they don't want to work for us, we'll also refer them out. Look for, we have a lot of connections with City College, and then City Build, things like that, to refer them out if they're interested in construction. So if they don't want to be an intern with us, working for my intern, just making copies for me, just the general stuff. We just make sure that they know and they can identify what they actually want to do, and we just help them with that. Overall, sit down with them on one-on-ones, and then the ones that still need a little bit of help, just checking in with them regularly. Some of the things that I have to do, because I work with the younger youth, I have to push them, right? I work with the 12 to 13, 14-year-olds, so I have to keep on asking them because they may not know how to identify it, or ask the right questions. So I just weekly when I have programming, do y'all need something? Do y'all need something? So they can get it that we are here to refer them out, or have any resources that they need. So that's how we do it.
Wonderful, thank you. So I want to move to a couple of additional questions we're getting in the Q&A box now. One question is about incentives. Several of you mentioned, providing different types of incentives, but if each of you could just kind of share the types of incentives that you typically use to support youth engagement, that would be great. Miguel, do you want to start?
Yeah, I could. So in regards to incentives, one of the incentives again was be spotlighted in one of the videos or one of the programs, right? So they really enjoy that. But if it's standard incentives in regards to what we do is we kind of do every quarter. The CAB is in charge of picking what incentives we're going to do. So they get a lot of information on what they want. I'm pretty frugal. So I don't do Visa gift cards because there's an added activation cost. So everyone knows that, right? So what I tell them to do, right, so your challenge is find gift cards that you want that don't have an activation charge. So let them know why, because everyone's well, Visa gift cards are better. Oh, I know, but they're not financially better. So explaining to your CAB why we can't do them, they'll understand. But allowing them to decide. So gift cards on a regular basis are one. We do Pride event tickets. We are Ovenus Ball. We actually give free tickets out for HIV testing for the month of November, so they could go to the ball, which is a $40 value for free. And other events that we're going to try to do. DryCon coming up in May, and a couple other things. We will buy tickets for them to come and get incentives. So depends.
Great. How about for you, Jake?
Yeah, so we have a couple different incentive programs. We have a community partnership with Vans, shoes, and skateboards. We have 3 local stores that provide us monthly donations. Part of those donations are skateboards, shoes, and clothing. So we utilize those. If we see clients that are making their appointments or regularly engaging, we have a community resource room. We allow them to go shopping in there without parents, pick what they want. It's kind of just this incredible relationship that developed out of a donor who works for Vans a few years ago for us. We also use gift cards as well. And I talked a little bit about like our long-term gift card program, so multi-year, where we bank them for the clients. Last year we had 2 that had been saving for a new PlayStation 4 or 5, I don't remember what version it was. We went out to our social media and we actually had 2 donors go out and buy the PlayStation. So the kids not only got all their gift cards from the 4 years that they had saved to buy that, which they then took and bought games with, but they got their PlayStation out of it. So it kind of is teaching life lessons, saving your money, working towards a goal. That goal is reinforced by a really incredible thing. We had a kid that saved all his for 6 years to be able to put as a down payment on a car. And then we went out to, we always go out to our donor base and say, hey, this kid's been working this long for this. Who will match this? This is how much money he has. So it really shows, kind of there's a big bang at the end of this long effort to get there versus just the every so often one-off gift card. And some kids don't want to do it. Some kids do. We provide that option for them.
Very cool. Yes, you're throughout, everyone in the chat has been really just appreciating all of the great work all of you do, and just noting in the chat, folks getting excited about the different incentive programs too. Ashia, how about for you all? How do you kind of incentivize the youth engagement?
I feel like that's one of our top priorities, regardless of what they need it for. Once again, it just depends on the department, but for youth development, all our programs are like, so we paid them for their time. So it's stipend based. They get like between $16 to $17 an hour. So that's one of the things that we provide. Like if you are in our program, you do get like a bi-weekly stipend. We also provide like food. So like we just try to reward them with like, okay, you also get a stipend, but maybe sometimes we want to go in person and like provide food, right? Like that's one of the things that you've also like is food. And then we do give out gift cards for the clinic. We are still doing like vaccines and COVID tests. So if you get vaccinated, we give a gift card, first timers. So that's one of the things that we're doing on the clinic side. And then we also just do like barrier removal. So a youth come up to us and be like, I need to go to school, but I don't have a clip card. I don't have no money to get for this week. We'll provide them with a clip card, or I need to apply for college applications, so we'll pay for fee waivers. Like I went to college 2 years ago, but I have an outside balance, so we'll pay for that. What else? Just like housing department, if they need anything of like paying for a security deposit, we'll pay for that. So those are just some examples that we do for the youth.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We have just a couple more minutes left. I wanted to get to one more question if we can, which is, what are some of the changes your agency has made in order to adapt with new interests of youth today? And I might add, also kind of the context that we're all living in today. Miguel kind of talked about, given the COVID situation, how do we need to adapt our programming? So Jake, I'd love to start with you and then just do a quick round robin before we close.
Yeah, so I mean, technology obviously is huge. Supporting our youth, utilizing that. So we talked about text messaging and that. Our camp Sunburst, really, which is one of the foundations of our youth program, we weren't able to have for 2 years. So we transitioned to what we called Camp in a Box, which was we did online program 2 hours a day for a week, but we provided all of those kids that would come to camp with a big box full of activities and treats and a pizza card for them family to do pizza one night. So that was our way of kind of transitioning our program to make sure we were still supporting them, but bring in the electronic side of things, using Zoom for our clients that didn't have at-home computers. And that we did, we provided a iPad for the week, or we lent them a computer we were lucky that many of them had that, but those that weren't, we were able to step up and provide that for them. So they were still able to be involved and participate and have some sort of connection.
Thank you. Miguel, anything you wanted to add?
I think technology, yes, that's definitely something. So thanks for bringing that up, Jake. I think also just adapting some of the programming, having hybrid models. As much as I would love to keep everybody distant, because that's always nice, but yeah, they need connection. They need an interaction. So providing a safe space. We've expanded our spaces, so now we used to only have 2 suites. Now we have 5. And we're able to like have groups at different areas, so they're not so enclosed together. Adapting spaces, and honestly, it looks nice. It just, we took advantage of the 2 years of being shut down practically. We did a whole remodel. I don't know if you saw the pictures, but that's all brand new. That happened in the last year, and we took advantage of it, of the time that we're closed, and to really create a safer space for people. So people are ready to come back, and how to keep them safe. So being able to pay attention to the needs, providing PPE, making sure that we space out our testing appointments, and just adapting to those needs. But I think the biggest thing that we're able to do is provide trauma-informed approach, listen to what they need, but and expand our free mental health services was a big deal too, to give them someone to talk to during this time. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Ashia, did you want to add anything else before we close?
Yeah, I think just listening to the youth. I try not to make it solely on them, just making sure that I'm listening to what their needs of, like, do you want to be in person? Those type of things. Making sure the safe space of like transitioning back in person. We provide COVID tests, weekly COVID tests, or day-to-day COVID tests when we're in there for the youth. Just providing anything that they need. That's pretty much it. So yeah.
Well, great. I just really want to take a moment to thank all of you so much. Again, you shared such amazing work, such amazing strategies with our participants today, and all of your wisdom from your experience working with youth. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I also want to thank our participants for your great questions and great participation on the call. And please do look out for a follow-up email from me should be later today or early tomorrow. It's going to have our evaluation link and also some other materials and information from today's session. And thank you all again. I hope you have a great afternoon.